What's going on, my beautiful people from YouTube? Let's talk about the most commonly used single board computer in the Web3 space. We are talking Raspberry Pis today. They've been sold out for 3 years, and it's very hard for you to get a hold of them, which made me think, who is using a lot of these? Ooh, helium miners. Tons of them. C does have the ability to get Raspberry Pis. This is super interesting. Who else has been able to get Raspberry Pis inside of the helium world? Let's go CoffeeZilla style, like I said. Let's do some lights, some suspenders, and a retro mic on screen that you guys can see. Now this is better and way more appropriate. And do I think I'm going to end up on Joe Rogan for showing you this? I don't think so, but it helps break the tension because what I'm about to show you might blow your mind. I'm going to show you Helium right now, the network that we've all come to love and hate, that's made us a lot of money and made us lose a lot of money. And I'm going to show you what's really behind it, or better, who's really behind it. Let's take a look at the makers inside of the IoT here, and you're going to see that you have, I want to focus on the ones that are using these devices, that are using the Raspberry Pis. So RakWireless with almost 60,000 devices. Then we have Sensecap with 150,000 devices. If we go down, we should be able to see some more, right? Because Calchip is also run by Rak miners in the back end of things. So there are over 300,000 miners that are all part of this Raspberry Pi junction. And I'm going to focus on the Raspberry Pi junction here because there is way more that I could uncover and show you, but let's focus on that specific one. If we take a look at Seed Studio, they were, they are a California company. But if you look at their financials, they were funded by IDG. IDG is pretty stinking big, and they are a Beijing, China company. And if you take a look at who they are like backing inside of crypto, it's a lot of people from Certic to Circle to Coinbase. I think KuCoin, yep, KuCoin is definitely part of this. So they are involved in a lot of different dealings. If we jump over to RakWireless instead, we're going to see that they did have a Series A funding as well, but these guys are located right in China. And we're going to see that their investors were NWS Holdings and Shunwei Capital. Shunwei Capital does have a connection that I was already able to find pretty easily. And the way I did it was just by asking, is IDG Capital related to Shunwei Capital? And the answer is yes, they're related. So IDG Capital is a global investment firm that focuses on venture capital, private equity, and merger acquisition. It was founded in 1992, and it's got a bunch of offices. But if we take a look here, Shunwei Capital, has Xiaomi co-founder Lei Jun and Tuck Lai Ko, which is an interesting thing. Because if you guys remember, there is something unique about these phones. Xiaomi recording a bunch of people's private web history, private dealings, and they got a pretty nasty hit from the US government about what they were doing. And it wasn't pretty, it wasn't good, but this is where it landed them. Now, this guy, like we just saw here, is directly connected to the IDG Capital. It doesn't end there, because if we keep going, he's also part of Sailing Capital, and this is very straightforward. And you might be wondering, why am I using ChatGPT? Well, because I'm not CoffeeZilla with a bunch of people that can do research in the background. I'm going to give you guys the quick and easy version of doing this, and hopefully you understand that all of this information is 100% public. Any of you can go out and actually look this up. Sailing Capital is a private equity firm. It was founded by, oh, look at that. It's known for the CEO of Xiaomi Corporation, leading Chinese electronics company. This is going to get worse and worse, guys, just so you understand. There are links between all of these things, and I just want to show you where money is flowing through. They focus on different types of investments, but they have a big investment strategy with these guys. So they go hand in hand. Lei's involvement with Sailing Capital demonstrates his interest in supporting the growth of China's domestic economy, promoting innovation in emerging industries. Oh, he wants things to kind of take off, and that's honorable. I think that's great. I think that we need more of that in the world. But let's keep going. Here, I want to know what's the, how is Sailing Capital related to IDG Capital? So Sailing Capital is a private equity firm in Shanghai. This is going to get so bad. On the other hand, IDG Capital is a global investment. So the two companies are related because they established a joint venture between IDG Capital and Shanghai Municipal Government. In 2011. They want to invest in high growth companies in China and globally. So while Sailing Capital operates as an independent entity, it benefits from IDG's extensive network. Here you hear that network term. They're basically hanging out together and, hey, you got contacts here. We'd love to get a hold of them and talk to them as well. Let's take it to the next level. Who funded Sailing Capital, right? So Sailing Capital was funded by a subsidiary of the SIG Group, the Shanghai International Group. It is a state-owned investment company in China. So it's likely that they were the ones that provided the funding. What does that mean? Literally, the Chinese government owns Sailing Capital, which is why everything with the phone company went south. But I digress because we're here to talk about Helium and how all of these things kind of are tied together. So let's just keep going back on track to Raspberry Pi manufacturer locations. So Raspberry Pi is, manufactured in the UK. Sony does it in the UK, in Wales, and NWS Technology in China. Interesting. So they do have Chinese manufacturers. So who's this so-called NWS Technology? If we just do a simple Google search, you're going to see the first link takes you to Newark Electronics. And in here, you're going to see that NWS is actually a part of Newark, who's a part of AVNet. So on the website for Raspberry Pi, we can go in here, you're going to see Newark as one of the industry resellers for the Raspberry Pi. Now, if we go ahead and change this to China, and say this is where we're trying to buy it from, well, now we have seed. Where can we take it from here? Well, I did an AVNet Sailing Capital search, and the Sailing Capital is in quotes so that it keeps it together, and I found something very useful. It brought me over to legal.io and listed a partner for this firm. And in here, they were so kind to place AVNet and Sailing Capital right next to one another. It was just the best thing they could possibly done for me. So LDA Piper is the firm. How does this have anything to do with everything else? It's got everything to do with everything else because these guys are a global company, and we're going to keep going. So LDA Piper relationship to IDG Capital. DLA Piper is a global law firm that provides services. Okay, they provide law services, so they've collaborated before with different technology investments. Great. And then relationship between them, NWS Holdings. Okay, so there is a relationship between provided legal services. So DLA Piper is providing legal services for NWS Holdings. They're providing legal services for Sailing Capital, and they're providing legal services for IDG Capital. So they're all interconnected, which is no surprise. I mean, they're a large company, but let's break it down and go just a little bit further. Again, this is not like super complicated research. This is just a few keywords and using ChatGPT to give us the answer. IDG Capital. So who funded these guys? Okay, so different foreign wealth like China Investment Company and Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. So these guys are who? They are a Chinese investment corporation. They're a sovereign wealth fund. So the Chinese government owns them. But then Abu Dhabi also owns this one. So IDG Capital is basically owned by two different countries. Nice. So if we can just go ahead and put it all together, because it's very easy to do that with ChatGPT. All you need to do is ask, find a link between DLA Piper, IDG Capital, and NWS Holdings. If you really want to link seed, Rak, and what they've been up to, and here's what you get. It talks about how IDG Capital is a global investment firm. NWS Holdings is a conglomerate that operates in various industries. Here's the conclusion. The link between DLA Piper, IDG Capital, and NWS Holdings through their shared connection to DLA Piper Hong Kong is in its controlling shareholder, New World Development. What can I say? If you look deep enough, you're always going to find some terrible things that you might not like on the internet. And this is just showing you that it's really easy to link anything you might be interested in to things that you might not be so pleased about. And if you didn't know that the Chinese government owned a lot of this stuff, you got to be living under a rock. This is not like, breaking news. I mean, yes, I got the whole get up for CoffeeZilla as a joke, but you guys need to understand where your money's going. And I'm sure a lot of you would make different decisions if you did your due diligence, if you did your research into things that you're up to. So just keep that in mind. It's just this. Here's an analogy that a buddy of mine was saying, like all of this money, Rak, seed, they're going into different pockets, but they just happen to be on the same pair of pants. That's what's going on here. And a lot of people will miss the mark and realizing what's really going on. And I just want to make sure you guys understand that there's way more than meets the eye. I don't usually do in-depth research on the channel because most people don't follow along or care to understand all the intricacies of the market and how this thing actually works. If you guys want to hear more of that, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear the feedback to find out what you guys are interested about, because there's plenty of this I can do with anybody. And it's not hard to do either. And it's the thing that I encourage everybody to do. When you're putting your money down on anything, figure out where it's going, because that's a really big deal. But I promised you guys a giveaway, so let's do that. Here's a video for the Crankk, and it's the Helium. It is a Helium competitor. Let's be serious. They don't want to see their competition. They're talking about dual mining with this thing, but they are competing with Helium. They're trying to take people away from Helium, which will actually help Helium miners if you guys really think about this, because it's going to increase the reward to the people that actually stay inside of the Helium network. So it's a win-win. Helium should actually encourage this and be happy about it, not get cranky about this thing. But let's go ahead and run and pick a winner. And we got Brian Thornton. Looks a lot better than H&T. Hope they succeed. Yeah, I hope they succeed too, because like I was saying, competition really drives the market and makes things better. What's even better is that if you head over to the Discord, open a ticket, I'll be happy to send you one of these miners or a license for a miner. That's how we do it on the channel. I hope this video was semi-interesting. I know there was a lot of information that I covered in this one, and I did want to have a little bit of a lighter mood at the beginning because it did get a little bit sad, complex towards the later part of it. And yeah, guys, like there's a lot that goes on in the space, and some videos might be better than others. Some videos might get great tractions and others don't. And that's okay. I'm not doing this for the views. I'm doing this to educate people on how this entire ecosystem works and how we need to be aware of where our money goes. So thank you all so much. I know you already left a like on the video. Leave a comment. Let's have a discussion down below. If you see somebody else's question, feel free to answer them. If you got engaged, there's plenty to be talked about. I think this video is one of those that has a lot of meat to it, and I can keep going for hours and hours on something like this. And it's very, very, very hard for the general public to actually grasp the concept of where money is going. So thank you all. I'm going to see you in another video, and I'll make it a little bit lighter on the mood there to keep everybody a little bit more joyful. Thank you all so very much. I'll see you later.